Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rise Up Market Watch tonight, December 8th, 2025. And the sheet, there we go. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. I was backstage with everybody here over on TikTok talking about how apparently my videos aren't being put out to people and they go on my page, they're not there. I don't know. TikTok doing TikTok things, it doesn't really matter. And you don't care. And we don't care about it right now because we're here to talk about markets. So we'll talk about Bitcoin. We had some really big news from like a macro standpoint that saved the stock market. We'll just kind of kick things off and talk about that because it's the biggest news from a macroeconomic standpoint. It's the biggest news for the US economy, and it's the biggest news, hopefully, for crypto, although it's not really bleeding over into crypto. The annoying thing about the crypto markets right now is it's just like, damn, we all should have bought stocks. We should have bought stocks, dang it. And here we are, whatever. I believe in the future, and I believe the future is Bitcoin and on-chain. So the news was that the United States will be allowing NVIDIA to sell their H200 chips. It's like it's one of their most advanced chip, yada yada yada, and they're going to be allowed to sell it to China because when the trade war kicked off, they weren't allowed to sell any chips to China, and then they were allowed to sell some chips to China, but not their really good chips. And basically, everyone expected NVIDIA to miss their earnings calls moving forward, and the whole stock market was concerned, but they make so much money off of data centers, it was enabling them to still hit their targets and smash them. So now we have NVIDIA smashing their targets still without sales in China. And now the sales in China are turning on. And last quarter, it was estimated that NVIDIA was missing $3 billion in revenue from not being able to sell to China. And now they will be able to. So this whole AI run gets to continue. So it's kind of crazy. The AI world and the stock market is nuts. And meanwhile, in crypto, everything's in a bear flag. Hooray. It's great. I'll show you guys that in a second. But good news for the US economy, good news for the AI cycle, all that kind of stuff. Is this the type of good news that's going to make things cheaper again and like make us not on Wall Street like feel good about the economy? No. Anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin. Also, Michael Saylor earlier today bought $1 billion again of Bitcoin, which I honestly have mixed feelings about, because at one point it's like, yeah, I would love to see other companies like go out and buying a bunch of Bitcoin, and that'd be great because it'd be just like good, right? But like one single company doing it, and now they're being targeted by Morgan Stanley to potentially be kicked out of the indexes on January 15th, which would be bad for their stock and potentially bad for Bitcoin. So, you know, there was a lot of interesting news that dropped today. But let me show a few charts right now because all of crypto kind of looks the same. Robot Steckler says, why the F did MicroStrategy go up 300%? I was going to load up and woulda, coulda. Actually, while we're on this topic, instead of pulling up Bitcoin first, did MicroStrategy in fact go up 300%? Let's take a look here. MicroStrategy's chart. I'll pull it up here in a second. I'll show everybody here on TikTok in a moment. Let me measure this. I don't think this is 300%, but in the past 24 hours, oh, no. This is up only. How's the eye? It's getting better. Gross though. MicroStrategy's up only 17%, 18%. So that is what MicroStrategy is right now. However, in the world of stocks, that's pretty amazing. And also, Donaldo, how's my eye? It's almost fully open. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Styes are gross. Hate to get them. So now let's switch over to Bitcoin real quick. So on the big screen, if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter, you'll be able to see this right here. And actually, let me just flip my phone around so all the folks on TikTok can. Oh, be good if I hit the right button. So this is Bitcoin on the daily time frame. And we're in this bear flag pattern, which is characterized by this large, series of just like a general bearish trend. And then you have this channel, this tilted channel that's going like up and to the right. This is a classic bear flag. These break to the bear side. this is one of the reasons why we've been talking about how, like, hey, to be fair, I did not think Bitcoin was going to go as far down as $80,000. You can see here it went down to $80,800. I thought it was going to go to about $85,000, which was right here. I was pretty close. And then we would say that we were going to rally here. Now, we've been talking about there being a rally potential up to like $97,000, which is right here. However, we are seeing that there's some resistance of this bear flag that might stop us. And also, we thought that this rally upwards would continue until rate cuts happened on December 10th. And we're running out of time because it's December. It's the candle of December 9th, right? And tomorrow's the 9th, Wednesday's the 10th. That's when rate cuts decision gets made. Unless, of course, we get like the Fed to come out and say, hey, we're going full quantitative easing, baby. You know, otherwise this thing's going to break to the downside because bear flags tend to just break that way, right? That's just how it goes. And the beatings will continue until morale improves. Stevie, that is absolutely correct. And if we take a look at the rest of crypto, it's the exact same chart. So if you're on the big screen, we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame here. And this is Ethereum on the daily time frame. Again, like a big general bearish period here, followed by a bear flag at the bottom, you know, and it looks like, you know, this could, you know, break to the downside if, you know, the market does have that buy the rumor, sell the news. There's still an opportunity here for Ethereum to hold the 21-day exponential moving average and have a move upwards to, you know, about $3,400 or so, especially after already having a fake bullish breakout, finding support here. You know, that could still totally happen. Ethereum's chart actually looks better than Bitcoin's right now, but still we're in a bear flag pattern here. If we go to Solana's a little bit better, but I actually don't have it marked, but you know, we're in you know, some kind of, let's just do it like that, some kind of bear flag also at the end of a large bear move in a channel that's kind of slightly going upwards until we were to break or erase this, like this is a bear setup. And in fact, Solana looks worse than Ethereum because it's being held below its 12 and its 21-day exponential moving averages. And then let's actually pull up Binance. Let's just see what Binance looks like. Binance on the daily time frame. Binance looks. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I mean, it's pretty much the exact same thing. That, I don't know if you, depends on how you want to draw this, but let's actually maybe go with something like that. You know, it's another general bear flag pattern here. And then if we switch to the weekly chart, though, actually not the worst thing in the world because we are oversold in the stochastic RSI. We are finding support in a key exponential moving average, the 55-week exponential. It's not the worst thing in the world. We had a pretty bullish candle here. So BNB actually doesn't look the worst. BNB on the weekly time frame actually doesn't look horrible. Let's pull up Solana on the weekly time frame. And Solana on the weekly time frame, look, super oversold in the weekly stochastic RSI, finding support on the 200-week exponential moving average. Not the worst thing in the world either. But what about the monthly chart for Solana? Monthly chart for Solana, could have some more selling to go here. The 55-week exponential moving average is actually sitting lower at about $106. This would tell me that Solana still wants to fall. So that's what I'm starting to see. But for the most part, and this is true the majority of like any time in crypto, most altcoin charts, until they're in like real bullshit territory, they just look like Bitcoin. Let's do the 5-second chart. I'm 400x to leverage right now. Thanks. DeWoofy, no thank you. You keep that, you keep it evil to yourself. Solana will be a good buy at $60. I mean, I think you still have a pretty good chance of you having, you know, sub $100 Solana, which is what Doug and I were talking about the other day. And Doug won't be able to make it today. And also neither will Luca Netz. We were supposed to be interviewing him right now for Pudgy Penguins, but he canceled. Don't know if we're going to get rescheduled too. We'll see. Magic Green on YouTube says, hey, Will, I would like things to tank and big companies stay say to hell with crypto. That would be nice if big companies just kind of stopped. It would be kind of nice if big companies stepped away from crypto and just let us have the market. It'd be better. It was better. It was better before. Should I sell my Solana? I have 30 at 155. That would depend, because there's a couple things you can do. One is, are you long-term bullish on Solana? I have Solana buys that are down. I buy a little bit of Solana every day. I buy a little bit of Bitcoin every day. I buy a little bit of Ethereum every day too. Things I have long-term conviction in. Every single, like, at this point, it's like every other week I take the Solana and Ethereum that I buy and I take them out. I send them to go stake and earn interest. So for me, I'm not selling or looking to like swing trade Solana positions that are down. One thing you can do, and it does take a decent amount of skill, is if you have a position that's down, you can swing trade it back into the green. So you can sell now, get a tax loss harvesting opportunity, buy back in at the bottom, get like a 10%, 8% trade, sell out of that, wait for a confirmed bottom, get back in, maybe have a few swing trades along the way, and you can get your position back into the green. But there's a lot of risk with that. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of time, all that kind of stuff. I'll sell you my whopping 10 at current price. Nice. I bought them because of Alex. Ugh, look at that. Look at that. But, I mean, if you have long-term conviction, I would just say take your Solana and stake it. If you don't have long-term conviction, there is not a single chart in crypto right now that is showing a confirmed bottom. And so, like, you might as well just wait for that, you know? I did see the question, what about Link? So let's take a quick look at Chainlink here, because might as well, right? First of all, we'll take a look at this at the long-term time frame. So if we take a look at Chainlink on the long-term chart, and this is the monthly chart, we can see we're trying to hold an area that has been general support and also resistance for Chainlink, which is the 55-month exponential moving average. Like, it's a pretty critical zone. Like, Chainlink tends to not fall too far below the 55-month. And if it does lately, it's been really bought upwards, right? So we're at that key level. But the thing is we're not really that far into oversold territory. So we could totally see a dip, you know, further down, in my personal opinion. But if we pull up the weekly chart, I mean, this is so very oversold. It's very, very oversold, and it's finding support on the 200-week simple moving average. The real issue here, though, is that momentum on this chart is bearish. You should expect more bearish things to happen. However, it is so oversold. It's like, come on, just pop up. Just pop upwards. You give us something here, right? And if we take a look here, this isn't exactly this is not a this is not a bear flag. This is not a bear flag pattern. We don't have a clear channel here. So this isn't as bearish of a setup on the daily time frame as we have seen on a few other charts. And this has clearly shown an aptitude for Chainlink to be holding the 55-month exponential moving average. But here's your issue. Your issue is that the next major area of support for Chainlink is here. It's this range here, which is $9.51 to $5.41. And that's a pretty big fall from where we are here at $13. So this is the first area where you could start to see Chainlink find support if it were to break this. The key level to keep your eyes on is basically $13. If we break $13, you could see a fall down to about $9 here. And here's the thing with head and shoulder. I see the head and shoulders, right? You know, you have a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, right? I feel like head and shoulders patterns tend to not play out. Head and shoulder patterns just kind of like, what is it? Cup and handles. Cup and handle patterns, which for those of you who are still on the big chart, you know, it's something like price goes like this, it goes upwards, and then, you know, you blast up, right? A cup and handle pattern. They tend to not play out, I feel like. However, if you were to measure the breakout of the cup and handle pattern on Chainlink, I mean, yeah, there's no way it can possibly play out. You'd have a negative chain link. It's just not going to work. Nice katanas. Thanks. You too can own these katanas. If you too black out in Epcot and have a credit card. Am I bullish on Ethereum for Q1, Q2 2026? The timing is interesting. Because I think Q2 of 2026 at the very least is good. And I think the people who are really paying attention in Q1 2026, so January to March, are the people who will really get rewarded. Because by Q2 of next year, the impact of these series of rate cuts we've had will start to actually be felt in markets with liquidity levels on the rise. New Fed, will rates one? I'm not quite sure what that question means, but do also understand that with the new head of the Fed in May, that's a ways off. Also understand that this current Fed is going to cut rates. This current Fed is going to full quantitative easing and is going to be cutting rates. I don't know if we're getting to 1% rates. I think that's a whole lot of talk because that's very aggressive on inflationary pressures, which would be bad. And yes, Jerome Powell is more likely than not cutting rates on Wednesday. So let me show that for you. Oh, what's the name of the site? FOMC Fed Watch. The name of the site. We'll take a look at the freshest odds for rate cuts. So let me come here to the Fed Watch, and it is currently at 87%. So the odds of us getting rate cuts on Wednesday are at 87.3% according to the Fed Watch. So that hasn't really changed much. The question is going to be, what does Jerome Powell say on Wednesday in his speech about when we do quantitative easing? You can't see the charts on YouTube. Interesting. You can't see the charts on YouTube. I was sharing my screen the way it should be. I have to watch back, and so apologies if you can't see it on YouTube. Weird. I was sharing my screen, unless I totally just messed that up. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try to share my screen again. But for the folks on YouTube, let me know if you can see the Fed Watch chart. Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, the thing to watch on Wednesday when Jerome Powell talks is if he gives any inclination as to when the Fed might actually start adding things to their balance sheet. Those are the key words, adding things to their balance sheet. That is something that could turn a buy the rumors, sell the news event of the Fed cutting rates on Wednesday into a buy the rumors, sell the news. Wait, what did Jerome Powell say? And then the markets send because Jerome Powell says that, the most bullish thing possible would be, hey, in January, we might start adding to our balance sheet to the tune of like $20 billion a month. Something like that. Will Ethereum ever go to 12K in the next 2 months? That's a funny question because of the wording. Will Ethereum ever go to 12K? I certainly think so. In the next 2 months? Probably not. Probably not in the next 2 months. At some point in time, I think so, mainly because of the Fusaka upgrade. Oh, Magic, you didn't see when we were charting Link. Oh, my apologies. I definitely forgot to do that. That moment is past. I'm sorry. That one's on me. I am not Evan. I am not the hostess with the mostest, but I try my best. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, right. Because Ethereum with the Fusaka upgrade is pretty exciting, I think, from the long term. But I started thinking about this actually with Ethereum because the Fusaka upgrade, for those who are unaware, it makes Ethereum faster, cheaper, but it introduces a burn mechanic. And the burn mechanic is that there's a much larger burn of the Ethereum supply from layer 2 activity. And 85% of all activity on Ethereum is on layer 2. So this will help to make Ethereum deflationary. It'll help to burn somewhere between 200,000 to 400,000 Ethereum a year, which will make Ethereum deflationary on top of the current burn that is already pre-existing. So that's very, very exciting. It actually turns Ethereum into a harder asset. But here's an interesting question. With Ethereum getting faster and cheaper, won't people just build on mainnet ETH and not build on layer 2s at some point? You know, at some point, Ethereum mainnet, as it continues to upgrade more and more, like right now, it costs like, what, 4 or 5 cents to do a swap. It costs 8 cents to mint an NFT, which is the most expensive thing you can do on chain. And obviously, it'd be nice to have that cheaper. So go and use a layer 2 and have that be fractions of a penny. But, you know, as Ethereum continues to upgrade and then Ethereum mainnet becomes fractions of a penny, the benefit of going from mainnet onto layer 2 starts to minimize. So what's going to be really interesting moving forward, particularly after like the next series of upgrades for Ethereum, is going to be what is the future of layer 2s in a world where Ethereum mainnet gives you what you want and need from a speed and affordability standpoint. We're still a little bit a ways from ETH mainnet being able to do that. You probably got like 2 years before there's another real big successful upgrade that does that, maybe a year, year and a half or so. But still, we're going to get into an interesting point in time where developers are going to be like, why do I need to go build on an L2 if I can just build on mainnet and it's fast and cheap? You know, these layer 2s are going to have to think about that in terms of their strategy and their toolkits, in terms of what they're able to offer to developers and onboarding options of consumers, right? Make that more streamlined and easier. There's going to be a lot of different things that some of these layer 2s need to think about in order to remain relevant in the eyes of Ethereum developers and Ethereum users. It's going to be interesting. And some people are going to want centralization. Yeah. I do agree. In honor of Luca Net's canceling on us tonight, I do agree with his general philosophy, which is that you should have a crypto solution or company that is centralized on the front end and decentralized on the back end, because the front end is the onboarding experience. That should be super centralized, super easy, super streamlined, not a lot of blockchain Web3 knowledge to be able to interact with stuff. But then underneath all of that, everything that's settling, everything that's actually like conducting the transactions themselves are decentralized. Aerodrome, what's my take? Actually, funny enough, I haven't looked at Aero's chart in I think since last week. So let me take a look at Aerodrome's chart, and I will make sure I share my screen. Wouldn't that be nice for the folks over on YouTube and the likes? So I meant like AVAX and Stellar clients, but yeah, Dwoofy, I will look at your comment in just a second. So if we are looking at Aerodrome here, and if I zoom out, you have Aerodrome on the weekly chart right here. You can see that we're in a bearish setup in the sense that we are below the 12, the 55, and the 21-week exponential moving averages. However, we are very, very, very oversold. And this is a doji candle right here at the end of a bearish run, a long bearish run, and could signal a reversal. If we move to the monthly chart, yeah, this has further selling to go. I mean, we broke the 12 and the 21-month exponential moving average with confidence, and the monthly stochastic RSI is not oversold. This has lower to go, unsurprisingly. And yeah, I mean, if you come to the daily time frame, this just shows me, hey, the bulls tried to party and just got slammed right in their face. They just took a big old bearish knuckle sandwich to their face. There's not a lot of momentum going here. And we also can see that the momentum on the daily time frame is bearish. So if we're bearish on Aerodrome, where's the place that can catch us? Immediately, my eye goes to this level here as the next major area of support, which is at 50 cents. That's at 50 cents right here for Aerodrome because it was a major inflection zone here in the past. And this was, what, September 22nd. And it was a major inflection zone here in the past as well. So it should stand to reason. It should be a major inflection zone here, particularly with this being the weekly chart being so very oversold. This is where I'd start to expect to see some kind of a bounce before maybe like double bottoming or something. Otherwise, you have to look here. You have to look in like this general box of 35 cents being the place that would end up catching Aerodrome. And yeah, that's it. Did you do Solana? Am I late? Miltos, I did do Solana, but I will give you the quick update here. Also, Miltos, thanks for being the first person to let me know that like you're not seeing any of my daily Bitcoin update videos on TikTok. Apparently, other people aren't seeing them either, and if you go on my page, they're not there. So I don't know what's happening, but I appreciate you being the first person to let me know. So thank you. So as a thank you, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies are all in bear flags that should break to the downside. And if Solana does in fact do that, it should have a price target of like $96 to like $106 or so, somewhere like right around there. What is up with the XRP AI coming out? Did I miss something? XRP AI? I have no idea. I'll have to look into that later. There was a comment I wanted to get to. I really do think we are going to dump after the Fed cut rates, then dump again after Japan hikes. Yeah, that's the biggest scary like macro club that's looking to come and smash down on markets. And granted, we've been talking about it a lot. Like a lot of people know about it, and a lot of people are like making positions, like moving positions in the market already. But for those of you who don't know, the Bank of Japan is set to hike rates on January 18th to 19th. And it's a really, really, really scary thing in markets. And the reason why, and I'll make this as simple as I can, is that Japan has been the place to go to borrow money for like 15, 20 years or so, because it was super cheap to borrow that money. But now their money has inflated so much that it's putting their economy at severe risk. And they go, oh crap, we can't keep doing this. But at the same time, their entire economy has been growing because they've made money so cheap. And so they're like, crap, if we end this game, it also hurts our economy. So Japan was going, okay, we either keep this game going and our currency inflates to nothing and our economy dies, or we stop this really fun game we've been doing for a while and our economy gets hurt, but it doesn't die. So they've chosen that option. They're going to hike rates. They're going to try to preserve their currency as much as they can. However, this ends this fun game that people have been playing, rich people, organizations, companies, financial institutions, of borrowing the yen basically for free. As a result, when the Bank of Japan hikes rates, it's going to cause a bunch of liquidations in markets. And globally, a lot of people are going to have to sell a lot of stuff globally to cover those positions. Now, this has been telegraphed for quite some time now that this was going to happen. So the problem is not as big as it was before, but it was still to the tune of something like $20 trillion. It was a crazy, like, make-believe large number of money that was being used. Funnel's not the right word, but like used in this Japanese carry trade. And so that decision to end that game that's been the source of liquidity in the world for 15 years or so is coming to an end. And that's entirely why the Fed is cutting rates on the 10th. So when the Bank of Japan, so all that is to say, when the Bank of Japan hikes rates December 18th to 19th, it should be a very volatile day, although the market has already had some time to react to it. The crypto market has. The stock market hasn't. The stock market's doing just fine. Exactly. Not all of that is reversed at once, correct? But it's like a scary time, right? So there should be a corrective moment in the markets. Now that's the macroeconomic club like coming down onto the markets. In crypto specifically, it's January 15th is another potential club looking to come down onto the market, which is when Morgan Stanley looks to vote on potentially kicking MicroStrategy's stock out of their indexes. What does that do? That would force about $3 billion to $8 billion of immediate sell-side pressure, as organizations would be forced to dump MicroStrategy stock strategy immediately. And MicroStrategy told us all about a week and a half ago that they would sell Bitcoin if their internal equation, and I forget what the name of it, it was MNAV. Their MNAV goes below 1, and it currently still is. And what makes the MNAV go below 1? Bitcoin goes down and their stock goes down. $8 billion of sell-side pressure immediately in a day is a lot. That's not great. That puts a lot of pressure on them to maybe have to sell Bitcoin at some point. So that will whether or not they have to do it. Now, I've run the math before in a video that I've done where if their MNAV is below 1 and they don't have access to raise any more money, they have about 1.25 years to 2 years of runway before they'd ever have to sell Bitcoin. So even if this happens with Morgan Stanley, they don't have to sell Bitcoin for a while because of the amount of money they have on hand and the way their debts are. So what you're going to have is you're going to have this firestorm of news explode, and people are going to get super bearish. You're going to see all these news stories come out. People are going to be freaking out. People are going to be rushing and selling their Bitcoin, and you're probably going to see a big spike down and probably followed by like a big spike upwards as people come in and just buy the panic sellers. That's probably what's going to happen. That's my guess of what happens on January 15th. If Morgan Stanley votes to kick MicroStrategy out of their index. When was the MSTR voting date? January 15th is the voting date. Will, what was the best way for a small retail investor to make it or participate in crypto? That's a really good question. I would first of all say that if you're just like a small retail investor, and I still consider myself a retail investor, like I've done well, but like I still wouldn't call myself rich, but you know, I make mistakes all the time. It's just making sure that your wins are big and your losses are small. But a small retail investor, best way to get started. First of all, it's like answer the question of what your investing goal is. Is it saving for retirement? Rich in katanas? You want to buy Pokemon cards next month? You know, are you trying to buy stuff for your house? Are you trying to get a ring for your girlfriend? Are you trying to buy a car, get a house? Or are you trying to just save up for retirement? Right. Ask yourself that question first, get that answer, and that will direct you as to like how you should be investing in the crypto market, how you should be investing in the crypto market. If it's retirement, buy Bitcoin, and then maybe buy Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink. And those would be like the four I'd say you build a portfolio on. And then your portfolio should probably be 60 or 70% Bitcoin. And then, you know, split up that 40 to 30%, however you want, across Solana, Ethereum, and Chainlink. And then probably have like a 5 to 10% part of your portfolio that's really risky. And, you know, maybe grab a meme coin here or there. Maybe grab something that has utility. Grab something that you just like and find interesting, something that's high risk in a bear market that maybe has an opportunity to pop. You know, something like that. That's what I would recommend to somebody who is just looking to build a retail portfolio and start a dollar cost average when things are bleeding. And there you go, Bob's your uncle. If you're like, hey, I see very solid advice. I agree fully. Love to hear that. Shiznats68. Dude, some of your guys' names are fucking hilarious. But yeah, if your goal is like, hey, I need to make $1,000. I have $500 right now. I need $1,000 by next week. I have rent to pay. First of all, probably do something else. But if you're dead set on crypto being it, you know, your best option is to probably go and do something like DeFi Carrot's margin trade. And I would margin trade like Bitcoin or Solana, because you can do that over there on DeFi Carrot. Do it with like 4x leverage, you know, try to find a setup that works. And I would do that, because you could go and do like some meme coin trading, right? You could pick a very popular meme coin, and if it's totally cratered, hey, great. But if it hasn't cratered and you don't time it well and you buy and it slides, you know, you could be host, unless of course you're shorting it. But I would pick an asset that's like not as volatile as that. And I say that like Solana is still pretty freaking volatile. And go use something like DeFi Carrot on Solana. Do like 2x leverage, 3x, 4x leverage, which is the maximum, and like play around with that, because the odds of you getting liquidated are pretty small. And if that's, again, if your goal is like, I have $5, I need $1,000 to pay for rent by the end of next week, what do I do? Like that's it. Or I don't know, maybe at that point you just go and put it all in Polymarket and and go gamble. Pepe is cratered. Every meme coin is cratered, and that's the way that meme coins go. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, they are not. After the Clarity Act passes, will price action be less on sentiment? This is getting crazy. I don't think price reacts at all to the passing of the Clarity Act. passing of legislation is not something that really gets the crypto markets, wow, like fired up anymore. If you had had this kind of stuff like 3-4 years ago, yeah, the market would be on fire with it. But legislation passing or being talked about just isn't really getting the market too excited, right? It's got to be something that will stir buying. It's got to be something that's sexy, if you will, and marketable and flashy. And it'll be something like that, personally. Let's see. Let me see if I've missed any questions here. Here's a good question here from Magic. Could you see Aave being a long-term hold? So when looking at an investment in the crypto space, I like to look for a few things. And Aave certainly has at least one of them. And I haven't looked at Aave's chart in a very, very long time. So what I'm going to look at first is I'm going to look at DeFi Llama. And it is struggling to load. I don't really need to look at it, though. I was just doing it for your guys' advantage, because Aave is the #1 largest. It's like DeFi Llama has like too many people going to it right now, and it's just not loading. Shame. Hang on a second. What if I can't even click anything on it right now. Dang. Well, I tried. But the thing is Aave is the largest decentralized finance solution in the world, entire industry. So I know that it's getting adopted. I know that they're continuing to build partnerships because a whole bunch of people are integrating with them, continuing to use on them. It's great. The adoption of Aave is absolutely there. I love to see that, right? Now let's actually look at Aave's chart. And let me share my screen here. Aave. Aave's chart. I'm getting short signals on the weekly chart, but it doesn't look that bad compared to everything else in the market. So here is Aave. I'll zoom out. In fact, I'll just clean this up. So here's Aave, right? We have a clear higher low here for Aave. But the thing is Aave showed throughout 2024 a real ability to rip still. So it is a dinosaur coin, sure, but like it had the ability to pop off. I mean, since the beginning of January 2024, I mean, it gave you a 427x if you could, or, you know, you had the opportunity to buy in again and give you a 238x. That's an amazing return here and shows that Aave certainly had life to trade. Now, we pull up our indicators. We can see that we're getting some short signals here for Aave on the weekly time frame. Our momentum is bearish, but we're super oversold on the weekly chart stochastic RSI, and we came damn near close to the 200-week exponential moving average. That would have been a real good buy opportunity for Aave, in my personal opinion, for a long-term hold. And if we look at this chart, yeah, we blasted upwards here. I'm sure supply has really gone upwards. I'll be interested to look at supply of Aave. But we're starting to get into oversold territory on the monthly chart and also try to find support on the 55-month exponential moving average. But if we fall, let's see, where would I would say, yeah, right about here. Hang on a second. Let's just see. What do we got here? I would say this general, oh, hey, look at that. It happens to be about $100. $100 would be a great place. I would love to scoop up some Aave personally. Now, let's see. The reason why Aave definitely didn't get back to the highest price is probably because the supply was being issued out. And let's see. Aave tokenomics. Let's go use CoinCarp. And let me share my screen. Share screen. Aave. Hang on a second. This isn't perfect. No, this isn't perfect. Let's see. I would love to go to Aave tokenomics. What if I just go to, because DeFi Llama has it as well. DeFi Llama work? Okay. Oh, no, it keeps freezing each time I come to DeFi Llama. Tartar sauce. Okay, fine. I will go to CoinMarketCap Aave. I just want to see if the entire supply of Aave has been issued. Circulating supply is 15.27 million Aave. The total supply is 16 million. So the total supply of Aave has almost been released, but it hasn't been entirely. So what is the annual inflation rate? I'm gonna cheat, and I am going to use ChatGPT. What is the current annual inflation rate of Aave? Because what I want to do is I want to find out when the last bit of supply is going to be issued. So Aave's inflation rate is 1.9% to 2%. That's really, really, really low. When will it be fully out? I'm going to make AI. I'm going to AI make answer me. Let's see. So Aave supply is like 90%, 6% out. That's what we talked about. No, didn't get a good answer there. What's another site I can go to? Aave token unlocks. I really just want to. If DeFi Llama worked right now, I would give me my answer. Oh, hang on a second. I have to log in. Logging in. Remind me later. Okay, let's see. The token supply of Aave caps out in September 2027. Okay. Now I have the answer. I'll show. Here we go. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for waiting. A long answer. Long time. Oh. This is the supply of Aave. Aave here caps out. As you can see, the available supply here is changing. And then on September 2027, the total supply of Aave ends. Until then, it will be increasing at a rate of about 1.9 to 2% annually. Also, the show is not sponsored by Aave, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have some collaborations with them early next year. So the question that spurred all this was, could Aave be a good long-term coin? It has adoption amongst its targeted audience. It has pretty low inflation, and it has a chart that has life to it. Now, the last question I have for Aave is, what is the token utilization? Because if it's just for staking, it's a little less clear. So it's a governance token. You vote on protocol upgrades. That makes sense. You stake Aave, yada, yada. Ah, nice. Okay. Here's a good reason to actually have Aave. So Aave is the #1 DeFi protocol. It is by far and away the largest. More people use it than anything else. And so it's great for a long-term investment to be able to say, hey, this could go upwards as demand for the project actually goes upwards. And that here is that Aave provides a discount mechanism. So in Aave V1, Aave could be could be, does it no longer? Lower borrowing costs, higher yield incentives. This was a legacy utility. Does it no longer have it? Treasury reserve asset, collateral in Aave, use Aave to borrow against. Okay, lovely. Discounts and perks. Historically included fee reductions. Now perks relate to DHO. Okay. That was the thing that was most exciting about this. Collateral in Aave, that's fine. You can borrow against it. Liquidity layer for protocol upgrades. That's fine. So does the Aave token not provide discounts anymore? Doesn't seem like it. Because that would be cool. Aave no longer provides the old borrowing fee discounts that existed in Aave V1, V2, but it still provides a new kind of discount specifically tied to GHO stablecoin minting. So the new discount system. If you stake Aave in the safety module, you get a discounted GHO mint rate. In other words, STK Aave discounted GHO borrowing minting. Non-stakers pay a higher rate for GHO. This is the only active discount mechanism tied to the Aave token. So it rewards Aave stakers, but that's kind of unfortunate. I kind of wish Aave would bring that back, because being able to provide discounted rates and better rates in general to people who hold your token when your platform is so popular is just putting you in that like BNB status. What I mean by that is BNB is typically one of the best performing altcoins in every single bear run I've seen so far since 2017, because it gives you discounts on Binance. So if you're looking to sell your altcoin bag, BNB is going to be the last coin you sell, because you want discounts on all the other fees you're going to be generating. So that's why BNB does better. So it'd be really cool if Aave just kind of opened that up to everybody, because just like purely looking at it as an investor, just through the eyes of an investor, it would make it a better long-term investment. But even without that, though, we saw on the chart, Aave has legs on it in a market that wants to move. Probably because they always have so many goddamn announcements, because they are the top DeFi dog in all of the space. Anyway, that is enough Aave talk. This show is not sponsored by Aave, but it could be. Would totally be okay with that. What are my thoughts on ICP? I think that ICP is a really good way for the Dfinity group to continuously fund their projects. And that's about all ICP is, in my personal opinion. I think they have found a way to use the ICP token to fund their research continuously. And that's all it's ever going to be. It's going to be a science experiment that they self-fund by selling ICP tokens on people. That's what they do. They don't really market. They don't really talk about what they're doing much. And that's my personal thoughts and opinions on it. I also just get a little skeeved out with the Dfinity group, just because they're like so close tied to folks in Davos. Not a big fan. Why has Pepe been dropping like nobody's business? It's just a meme coin, man. That's what meme coins do. When they go up hard. When they go down hard. That's it. Nadav, we already talked about Aerodrome earlier, so you have to go and check out the recording. When Chainlink deep dive video? Honestly, Chainlink deserves a deep dive video. So, probably should. Because if you were going to invest in like, hey, I believe in crypto, and I played with meme coins or whatever, and I got burned, and I just want to invest in like the actual infrastructure of the space, it's Bitcoin, it's Ethereum, Solana right now, and Chainlink. And like those are like your four. But especially Ethereum and Chainlink in that list. And Solana's there too. I mean, particularly with how close Fidelity loves them and the amount of people that use Solana every day. It's those four. Litecoin's getting smart contracts? No, and not to be rude, but like my personal reaction to that is just like, cool. Like, I know a lot of people love Litecoin. I think Litecoin is a good, fine coin. It does exactly what it says. It's faster Bitcoin. But the thing is, it's just like, why would anybody go build on Litecoin when you can do it faster and cheaper and with more support and more active developers to hire for your company in Ethereum or Solana, or even Sweet for that matter, or Hedera, or I mean, pick one. You're going to have more developers and more people interested in it. It's like when DeFi on Bitcoin came out. Everyone was like, oh, you DeFi on Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, there's a great opportunity because there's no more liquidity in all of crypto than in Bitcoin, right? It's the #1 coin. And so if you could build DeFi that was fast and cheap, then it'd be great. There's so much money there to build these beautiful DeFi environments in. But Bitcoin is slow, and it's not really good at scalability for that kind of stuff. And it's a little bit more expensive. So it's like, why are we building here when you have so much competition that's so fast and so cheap? That's my same general thought process with Litecoin. Like, just because you add smart contracts to something doesn't make it useful or interesting. It just makes it busy and noisy, and it's just like a grab for publicity and trying to remain relevant in some way. Those are my personal thoughts and opinions on Litecoin. I got a few. I'm seeing Pudgy Penguin questions here. Questions about Plume. Isn't that the scam? Am I thinking Flare? It might not be the scam. I don't want to say that. Do a video on perps. I don't do perpetual trading. I don't do it. I don't trade on leverage. I've done it a handful of times. Made money, lost money. It's not me. I don't do it. So you probably, if you were looking for perpetuals contents, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Sorry, Sonoran. Money this cycle on memes, Pepe and Zbeck. I doubled my capital. I had 127x on Moon Popcat, and I didn't do it with much money. I had like $1,000. Took 100. I'll do this in like the pits of a bear market. I'll take $1,000 and I'll put $100 into 10 different meme coins, and 7 of them went to zero. One gave me a 50%, one gave me 30%, and then one happened to be Popcat. That gave me 127x. Granted, it was on $100, but still, hey, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. What are my thoughts on WorldCoin? Man, you guys are just choosing my absolute favorites. I hate WorldCoin. I really, really dislike it. And what really kind of threw me off of WorldCoin was their airdrop, which was, hey, let us scan your eyeball, like your most personally identifiable, even more than a fingerprint. Let us scan that, get your data, put it on the blockchain, and then we're going to give you this like internet coin that's not going to make you much money, but hey, you got it for free. Except it's not free. I just don't like the pretense of like, hey, do this and get it for free. It's like, wait, this isn't for free. I'm giving you the most personally identifiable piece of biometric data possible. Like, this isn't for free. And they're like, don't you want this token? It's the next Bitcoin. Yeah. And I'm like, no, fuck you, WorldCoin. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I don't like it at all. Am I still in Morpho? I still do have a position in Morpho. It is down. But it's actually not down that much, which is kind of funny. I also have a position in Syrup and Maple Finance too. And also, again, it's down, but it's not down by that much. It's interesting. What are my thoughts on Celestia? Dude, I feel like I'm being asked questions from coins in like the end of 2023, early 2024. Celestia, I don't even remember what made... Oh, right, modular blockchains. I forgot about that trend. That trend came and went really hard. I don't even remember what the whole proposition of it was. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, in 2024, I believe, and I don't think it was in 2023, there was the idea that modular blockchains were going to like absolutely take over, and these were going to be the Solana killers and yada, yada, yada. And, I forget the advantages. It was faster, it was cheaper, it was more interoperable. I forget exactly what it was. Regardless, you had Celestia come out, and that was the first real big modular blockchain that came out, and it did numbers. Celestia did great out the gate, and then you had a whole bunch of other things be like, we're also modular blockchains. Money, please. And you had that go, because that's just how the crypto space goes, even though it's freaking stupid. And then modular blockchains didn't do anything because everyone was like, oh, Solana upgraded with Fire Dancer. We're still here. And then like everyone shut their door on freaking modular blockchains and said, see you later, losers. You ain't got anything. And that's my take on Celestia. I don't know what they've been up to lately. I don't know if they've been building. I don't know if they're still around. I wouldn't be surprised if they are. But the modular blockchain excitement and value prop just totally got just beaten into the ground as Ethereum and Solana continued to upgrade. The only blockchain that came out that ever gave anything a little bit of a race was Sui. Sui came out, and because of it was like incredibly venture capital backed, it was able to do well and gained attention, and you still have some money on there, and I'm sure it's going to get some adoption. It's going to get some slice of the pie, but yeah, the modular blockchains like Celestia just... Plume Network. I don't remember. Do I still believe in Ondo and Sui? I don't let me look at... I'll talk about Ondo and Sui in a second, but I'm just trying to remember what Plume is. It's so hard to keep track of everything. What was Plume? First, I look at the chart. My God, it does not look good. Let's see. What is Plume? It's over on Binance mostly. Oh, it gets a big token increase. I might as well share my screen on the big screen. So looking at Plume, Plume is a $67 million market cap. crap. Sorry, cap, market cap. I mean, its chart looks like crap. But if we scroll down, we can see that there starts to be a pretty big increase of supply here on January 15th. That's an interestingly timed date, given the whole Morgan Stanley thing. Plume holders, what the hell is Plume? Plume Network is the first full stack RWA chain. That's right. They're tokenization of real world asset chain and ecosystem, enabling the rapid adoption and demand driven integration of real world assets. Okay, let me see if DeFi Llama is working. Will it? Plume mainnet. What's their adoption like? $156 million. That's not nothing. Ugh. Why isn't DeFi Llama working for me right now? Oh, well. But they have $156 million. Me personally, my general rule of thumb is that if you're looking at TVL, so total value locked, nothing is really worth paying attention to unless it's over $300 million, in my personal opinion, if you're like really looking at adoption. So if you're betting, if your question of like, hey, take a look at Plume, like, let me know your thoughts on it, is like, hey, I want to get into the tokenization of real world assets plays. And you're like, I'm really going to go in on Plume because it's like Ondo early. I mean, like maybe it is. But currently right now it's not. If you're looking at building a tokenization of real world asset portfolio, what I would do is I would take that portfolio, maybe it's a part of your portfolio, maybe it's your entire portfolio, whatever. I would invest probably 60% of that portfolio into Ethereum specifically. And then I would go and buy, you know, your Ondo and your, oh, what's the other big one? Shoot. It's not Plume, obviously. It's, dang it, what's the other one? But anyway, I'd go invest in like the leaders in that space that are going and taking real world assets and tokenizing them. Ondo, in this case, are taking treasuries, right? They're taking treasuries and tokenizing them. Like that's their big product right now. But anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions on Plume. And if you wanted to change up that portfolio idea of being exposed to the tokenization of real world assets, the reason why I would say, hey, pick Ethereum here is because Ethereum is the backbone of what BlackRock's building. And granted, a lot of these large financial institutions are also building on Solana, and hell, you have MasterCard on Stellar. They're experimenting with all of them, right? And so a lot of them are building their own blockchains too. And some of them are choosing Avalanche to do that, right? They're using Avalanche's subnets to build their own blockchains off of Avalanche, which is unfortunate that it doesn't impact the price of Avalanche, but it's still super, super cool to see, right? But a lot of them are choosing Ethereum. So I would choose Ethereum as the main bet there, and then Solana, and then add your Ondo there. And that would be my tokenization of real world asset play. I was also going to talk about a few other coins. Shoot, what were they? What were the coins? I said I was going to talk about them. Is KTA really better than XRP? I don't know what KTA is. And even though I am a well-known criticizer of XRP, it probably isn't better than XRP. Grant, you know, I am a very public. Oh, I see Sui. We can take a look at Sui. Ondo, Sui, Linea. Yeah, we'll do Ondo, Sui, and Linea. Why not? You know, I'm a very public critic of XRP, but XRP does have more going for it than most altcoins. You know, their conspiracy theories feel true because there is a company that is well connected. The conspiracy theories feel so real. That does not make them conspiracy theories compiled or built out of nothing. Just about. Anyway, let's actually look at Sui's chart. I'm curious. Let's go to Bybit. Whoa. Is this the right Sui? This is the right Sui. Okay. Let me share my screen. Huh. I did not think that Sui's chart would look this bad. So here is Sui on the monthly time frame. Now, what I do like to see is that it is more oversold than most altcoins right now, but we're having severe breaks of the monthly 21-month and the 12-month exponential moving averages. And if I pull up the weekly, ooh, we are super oversold, starting to try to get a bullish reversal here. But the thing is we don't have like, I wouldn't necessarily consider this like a confirmed bottom. Like this is super oversold. I really like to see this, right? I think this is a good, if you had bought some SWE here, I think it's probably a pretty good dollar cost average time. But if let's see. Oh, interesting. So we just about came to the top of that initial like ICO candle. That's basically what we came to. But, I don't have a good read on this. Let's see, what do we have on the daily time frame? Daily time frame. Okay, let's separate ourselves from the noise back to the monthly. What I'd be looking at is I'd be looking at any buys of SWE in this zone are just like good long-term dollar cost averaging. I'm fine buying here and expecting some type of rally and becoming a winner of a trade here if I stick to my dollar cost average, because SWE's DeFi Llama environment, last I looked at it, was, and I know DeFi Llama's not working tonight, but please just let me see it. It's just below $1 billion in USD, but let me look at the SWE. Ugh, DeFi Llama, you are just killing me tonight, dude. I even have my Ethernet plugged in. The llama needs food. What I want to see is I can see here that SWE has $937.76 million in TVL. And last time I looked, they were at just basically above $1 billion. But what I want to see is I want to click and look at the amount of SWE on chain, not USD, because obviously SWE has been falling. So, oh, that's a shame. So unfortunately, I can't get that data. What do you need? It's working for me. Alex, how much, tell me if the chart is going up or down for SWE on DeFi Llama as measured by SWE and not USD. Could ICP revisit $10 in the near future? How near is near? And also, what even is ICP at right now? Is that at $3? I mean, anything's possible, but no. In the near future, $10? I mean, dude, it was at $9.66 last month. So yeah, I mean, I guess it can. And it is getting pretty oversold in the monthly chart stochastic RSI, although not entirely. The Bitcoin flush coming, it might be. William, for long term, would you hold XRP, SWE, or XLM? Personally, I would go with SWE just because it proved to be a hot coin. Like the coin really, really traded well. So if it does well, it would stand to reason, probably would again. It had a really good growth of TVL on chain, and I liked to see that. I'm a critic of XRP, so I do not understand the bullish picture of XRP. I don't understand it at all. It's a great coin to trade. It's just not something that I'd like hold long term. I think it's a great coin to trade. If you're trying to learn how to trade in the crypto space, XRP is a great coin for you. And then the other coin was Stellar. Stellar's doing a lot of really good stuff. Actually, let me look at, what was the chart like for Stellar? What was the chart like? Oh, Stellar had some real good swings to the upside in this market. I was not paying attention to Stellar. The thing with Stellar, though, is that these swings are to the upside are so incredibly aggressive. It's hard to trade. Like it's hard to plan for these massive weeks. Like this was a 2-week period. It's hard to plan for that. But I mean, like yeah, there's like a money-making opportunity here for sure. Interesting. I would say between those three, I'd look at SWE and XLM as coins for long term, I guess. The thing is that like you're probably in a safer boat with Stellar simply because Stellar has shown that they will come back and have big swings to the upside after bear markets. And because SWE is newer, you don't have like a historical precedence, right? To say that SWE will also have large moves to the upside in a bear market. So of the 3 you listed, Stellar, I would like more personally than XRP and more than SWI. I'd then probably go next to, honestly, if I was actually looking to swing trade a position to the upside, if XRP was really overbought, or excuse me, oversold, I'd probably buy some XRP. It's proven to pump up when markets are green, because everybody talks about it. Well, it's dropped over 200 million SWI in 2 months. It's a lot of SWI. So what that tells us is that the DeFi environment in SWI is not particularly healthy right now. So that is something to be concerned about with SWI moving forward. I'll take a few more questions here. Aptos was said extremely cheap at $3, but now $1.75. What are your thoughts on Aptos? Well, let's take a look. I like what they do. Why am I not seeing the chart? Oh, because I should just do APT, USD. Aptos, here we go. Sharing my screen. On the big screen. Okay. Whoa. Golly. This thing is just trying to find 0. So, I mean, damn, that is a coin that has just, I mean, it just totally lost this previous bottom and it's just falling. My God. Do I envy Alex's beard? No, it looks itchy and it would cover my chin. So no. But it looks really good. It's great for Alex. Let's see, hang on a second. Let's get our indicators up here. Daily time frame. Pretty damn oversold on the RSI. What if we really zoom in here? No clear reversal at all. Super oversold on the weekly. Let me take a look at the monthly, and then I'll show you guys over here. Oh my God. So, I mean, on the monthly chart, this thing's been oversold for a super long time and just keeps bleeding hard. Dear God. Dear Lord Almighty. I mean, interesting time to dollar cost average, but the thing is there's none of this is a bottom. There's no bottom signal here on any of these candles. Hang on a second. Let's go to the weekly chart. Weekly chart. Yeah, there's no bottom candle. We're not getting any kind of reversal candle at all on Aptos. Robot Stecklish. This is Aptos right now. And it looks really, really, really bad. Oh my God. Alex, while you are fulfilling the role of Bearded right now. Oh, Bearded's here on YouTube too. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Bearded did ask me, any thoughts on Monad yet? Monad. I'll go into that in a second. But the thing is I haven't really done my research on Monad, Bearded. I'm sorry. So I don't really have the best thoughts and opinions. That'll have to be a better question for Evan and Alex. But Alex, if you can look up the DeFi Llama environment for Aptos and let us know how much Aptos in the DeFi ecosystem is going up or down. Because the coin could be plummeting, but if the DeFi ecosystem's doing well, I doubt it's doing well, though, with the way the coin's going. We do love Bearded. We do love Bearded. Polkadot and Atom. Here's the thing. Before I pull up the chart for Atom, which is Cosmos, Cosmos has a problem. And that is that it has been adopted by a lot of organizations. I think Say even used the Cosmos SDK kit to build their own blockchain. A whole bunch of like really popular blockchains used Cosmos to build. And the issue with the Atom token is that native adoption of Cosmos does not lead to utility being utility eating up the coin supply, right? You don't need the Cosmos token for blockchains that were built on Cosmos. And that means that, like, despite the adoption of Cosmos, it doesn't help to make the coin go up. And Alex on Aptos, he said peaked in May of this year, but it's almost recaptured that high. Interesting, because we have seen a lot of stablecoin flow over to Aptos, actually. That reminded me, there are a bunch of headlines about it. I even made a video on it. So yeah, of course it's doing well. But it's interesting. So that actually could mean that there's an opportunity here for a buying opportunity for Aptos. It's just that on that chart we showed for Aptos, there is no bottom signal at all in any of those candles, daily, weekly, or monthly yet. So, be careful. What was I talking about? Oh, you're right. The thing is Avalanche also has that same problem. It just has a slightly better chart. Because Avalanche also is getting all these organizations to choose to build on Avalanche, choosing to build and using their subnet technology to build their own blockchains off of Avalanche, but it doesn't drive demand via utility for the AVAX token. They build their blockchains using Avalanche, just like with Cosmos, and then they don't need the Atom token. They don't need the AVAX token. Will, why do you care about TVL and the native token versus USD? Because USD lies to you. That's why. If you're looking up TVL measured in dollars lies to you based on bear markets and bull markets. You could have TVL in dollars going up, and you're like, oh, more people are using this. But what's actually happened is that the dollar valuation of the token has maybe doubled or tripled or quadrupled. But the amount of tokens themselves are actually going down, which means that the amount of people using the protocol is decreasing. The only reason dollar going up is because speculation, not because of adoption. And it is it's a fallacy. It's a farce. It is a hot air balloon going upwards that's about to get just like shot down with a shotgun, right? That is how TVL on something like DeFi Llama can lie to you, and is why whenever you're using it, you should switch it to the native asset of the blockchain, because that will actually tell you if your project is actually getting adoption or if it's losing users. That's why you should do that. There was a token I was going to look up and I forgot what it was. I know one was Cosmos. How do you see Injective in Near protocol? I think Injective was a really great coin in 2023, and since then it just kind of totally fell off, and like nothing happens and no one talks about it. Near protocol, also another project that a lot of people use like 4 different decentralized applications on it, but none of them are DeFi. So those applications, despite having a lot of users, it doesn't generate liquidity and it doesn't generate money that drives really good financial markets within its ecosystem, and therefore generates liquidity for its token. So if we're looking at Near protocol purely from an investment standpoint, not really great. From a technology that does what they say it's going to do, and it's an interesting place for people to go and build different products, totally fine, right? And it's proven to be a really good place for that. But if we're looking at this from an investment standpoint, But let's take a look at the chart, because I hadn't looked at Near in a while. Near protocol. The thing that Near had going for it is that when Near was first created, it was like, we're an AI coin. And then like no one cared about AI at the time. And so they were just like, hey, we're a general purpose blockchain. And then people really cared about AI, and they're like, never mind, we were always an AI first blockchain. But the thing is there's nothing special about Near protocol that really makes it an AI blockchain. It was just fast and cheap. So looking at Near protocol's chart on the weekly time frame, I mean, like, we had 2023 was hot for Near. It was hot, and then it was just a slow death. But I mean, hey, great opportunity. 2023 Near protocol was super, super hot, because I think 2023, everything is bad in your mind. Do you like everything? I mean, not everything. Like, I mean, just because I find issues with things doesn't mean I necessarily think that they're bad. It's just that like nothing's perfect, right? I mean, like not even Ethereum or like Solana are perfect. Not even Bitcoin is perfect, right? It's important when making investment decisions to really, really, really look at the things that are ugly about it, because you're going to put your hard-earned money into the market and you're going to put your hard-earned money at risk, right? So try to make your investment look the ugliest it possibly could as you analyze it. And if you can accept the ugliness of your investment next to the beautiful things, right, and you really focus on that, then hey, you have conviction, right? And you should do that. If you shy away from the ugly parts of the crypto company that you're looking to invest in, you're putting yourself in a really terrible position. And you're also like not really paying attention to kind of what is potentially shifting in the market. Because if you start analyzing enough projects and you realize they all kind of have the same pain point, if something comes in and addresses that pain point, you have a really good potential money-making opportunity if you can invest early into that kind of a thing, right? That's it. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin, short-term versus long-term? Do you think we are nearing a bottom? I think we could find a bottom at like 67, 75K. That's still like my gut. It's still what I'm saying. Still what I think. And timeline-wise, I mean, it all depends on January 15th. Morgan Stanley looking to vote on the indexes. And then you have a whole bunch of FUD and a whole bunch of people freaking out that MicroStrategy is going to sell despite them having 1.5 to 2 years to potentially do anything with their Bitcoin. And I think you have a bunch of people freak out. And then we get to the point where you have quantitative easing and all of these rate cuts by the Fed start to lift markets. The bottom will be 69K. Honestly, probably would be 69K. 65K Bitcoin, I'm selling my legs and my kids. Honestly, maybe. But I saw the question of like, hey, like what are things that you like? I like Bitcoin. I like Ethereum. I like Solana. I like Chainlink. I like Maple Finance. I like Maple Finance more than Morpho, even though I do have some Morpho too. I like Pudgy Penguin. I'll buy more Pudgy Penguin. It's the only coin that I like because it's actual business tied with a whole bunch of sales and the fastest growing IP. So I like that. It's the only meme coin I like. But again, that's because like there's a business making money. Other things that I like, I mean, I like things that are getting used. I like Aave. I like Uniswap, particularly with that vote that's about to go through. For those of you who don't know, Uniswap has a vote that if it gets passed, they'll start taking Uni tokens that are being used in their auctions and burning them. Currently, Uniswap doesn't have any burn mechanic at all. So adding this burn mechanic in for their auctions would effectively start making Uniswap a little bit deflationary. And because they make so much money and so many people use them and so many people are in their auctions and stuff like that, this will help to make Uniswap be one of the coins that can go up in value in the next market. Bearded comment, by saying you like Maple, does that mean you're buying syrup? I mean, I already have a bag of syrup that is currently underwater, but not by that much. And if we got that move up to Bitcoin, up to like 96K, I would sell it, probably most of it, take a little bit of a loss, whatever. We'll see what happens over the next day or so. I might sell that bag, might sell that Morpho bag. We'll see. Otherwise, it's like currently underwater. And it's not like a huge part of my portfolio. Like most of my portfolio is Bitcoin. And so it's like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm fortunately in a position where it's like I make good money from my job and works and income streams. And it goes into things that I have long-term conviction in right now, and long-term, I'll be fine. Like I'm a long-term investor. I make swing trades. In the busiest part of a bull market, I make maybe 14 trades in like the peak of a bull market. And then in a bear market, I typically don't have a single sale. Typically never do. Typically just buys in like a full-on bear market that lasts like your 9 months to 13 months or so. And then in that like initial consolidation wave, I might have like 2 or 3 sales throughout the entire year. And then, you know, we get close to the bull market and I'll have like 14 trades or something like that. You know, that's what I do. It's way more chill. You're great. You get a trophy. Bro, if we buy Pengu coin right now, good in the future? Personally, I think so. I put out a tweet 2 weeks before it went up 25%. I was like, I'm going to start buying Pengu here just like once a week. And I did. Granted, it wasn't with much money, so it went up 25%. And I was just like, I should have gone all in, baby. But yeah, like I do think that like of all the meme coins, once the markets get hot, I mean, I feel like Pengu is one of them that's really just gonna do well. But man, the chart is so bad right now. It's gross. Look at it. Pengu on the big screen. Let me take a look at the daily. Yeah, it's just brutal. We're potentially starting to get some bottom signals here, but you know, this is not a bear flag pattern. What about the weekly? The weekly's super oversold. Oh, hang on a second. This is, why do I have my chart like this? It's super oversold. It's sitting on old previous zones. Like, honestly, pretty damn good spot to be dollar cost averaging into some Pengu. Wouldn't be shocked to see it go lower because we pull up the monthly time frame. Let's see. Actually, no. Personally, for me, I'm probably going to add Pengu to like my daily cost, my daily buy. I'll take a coffee amount worth of money, put it into Pengu, wait until I have a bigger paycheck, put that bigger paycheck mostly into Bitcoin, then into Ethereum, and then Solana, and then I'll take a little bit of that into Pengu too. Probably, that's personally right for me. And remember, 60%, 50% of your portfolio, Bitcoin, fill in 20%, 30% with your safe, risky plays. I think infrastructure plays in crypto is good. Your Ethereum, your Solana, your Chainlink, and then fill in the rest. You know, I think that's good. If you don't like Solana, pick something else. Yeah, whatever. Rashad K, my thoughts on XRP. My thoughts on XRP are well documented. I do not like XRP. I think it's a great coin to trade if you're going to trade on it, on any coin, and you're trying to learn. You should trade on XRP. Ooh, good update here from Bearded. Maple lawsuit, no final resolution as of late November 2025. Watch for arbitration outcomes impacting Maple's 5 billion assets under management and Bitcoin products. Bearded, appreciate that. And also, your question here, do you think Pengu is going below... Wait a second, do you think below... Do you think Pengu is going below $1? It is currently well below $1, Bearded, so yes. If you meant 1 cent, it technically already did. Yes, you meant 1 cent. It already did, actually, on... Let's see, December 1st. And on December 2nd. Will it do it again, though? I'm sure is your question. And to that, I would have to say, I'm not quite sure. We see some potential signs that it could be having a reversal at these levels. But, you know, if Bitcoin sells off of the Bank of Japan, guess what the meme coins are going to do? They're also going to sell off. Do I trust Tom Lee? I trust that he has invested a lot of money into Ethereum and he'd like it to go upwards so he can make money. You don't have to trust people if you can clearly see where their financial incentive lies. You can trust people's financial incentives without having to trust the people. I got to start getting out of here, guys. But let's see. Good solo tonight, Alex. We always love you. Chatter Show, always. You got to run. Mr. Robot Stecklish, always appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much. Chad, or sorry, I said Chad. Todd Girardier. You probably don't pronounce it like that, but I think it's very French, over on Facebook. So it sounds like you're very anti-XRP. I am actually not anti-XRP. Great coin to trade. It's just that because the conspiracy theories around it are so vocal, it's a very talked about coin, probably second to Bitcoin, that the conspiracy theories really, really run wild with it. And so I have spent a lot of time over the years debunking those. But the thing is like, at the end of the day, XRP has more going for it than 99% of all cryptocurrencies. The conspiracy theories feel really real because there is a real company that has real connections with real powerful people, and it makes it feel real despite the follow-up questions having those bull case scenarios start to fall apart. However, there are some things that you can not say that are bearish about XRP. One is its brand. Its brand is super strong, not because of anything XRP or Ripple does, but because of what the community does. The brand of XRP is great. A ton of people talk about it. A ton of people know about it. When it starts to do well, people dive in. and it sends. It can send, and it can do numbers, and it's a great coin to trade. It's in my opinion just not something that's a long-term hold, but it's a great coin to trade. You can make a lot of money off of it. Anyway, guys, that is. He secretly loves XRP. Don't be fooled. Wait, that's my girlfriend, Violet. Violet, don't tell people these lies. Don't you tell them. It was funny. My girlfriend was like, "Baby, I just sold some crypto," and I was like, "Oh, okay. What'd you sell?" She's like, "I sold XRP. I doubled my money." And I was like, "You had XRP in your wallet?" Best coin to 10x RWA in the next 5 years? No clue. No idea. It might not even be Ondo. Ondo might not even be king anymore at that point. 5 years. 5 years is like 7 lifetimes in the crypto space. You know, we'll see what happens. But guys, I am starting to sweat, and it is time for me to ride my dogs and ponies off into the sunset. So I'm going to thank all of you for joining me tonight. I appreciate all the questions. I did not get to like 80% of them. They were flying in TikTok, and I was here. I'm not as good at keeping track with the questions as Evan and Alex are. So if you have questions, you can join the Rise Up community for free. I need to do a better job being in there. Evan and Alex are in there all the time. Tori's in there. We have our community members in there who help each other out. But even if I'm not there, like I said, we have people who help each other. It's free to join. Ask your questions. We will get to you eventually. It's at the Rise Up community. You can find the link on my profile page here on TikTok, but you can find the link to join on any of our profile pages, also at rumshq.com. Again, so that is rumshq.com. Again, the link to our community, it is free to join. Ask your questions there. So thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight for another episode of Market Watch. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Take care, do good things, be good people, make a bunch of money.